Welcome back everyone for the fifth and the last panel discussion for the day, how organizations are changing their information security strategies and guarding themselves against emerging security threats with these rapid disruptions and fast changing innovative technologies. Quite a long subject, but indeed a significant one. This particular subject session will be moderated by Mr. Sanjay Mahajan, CIO at Satin Credit Care Network Limited, Mr. Manoj Nayak, CISO, SBI Life Insurance, Mr. Alok Pathak, CRO, Utkarsh Small Finance Bank, Mr. Palani Kumar Arumugam, CISO at Veritas Finance are the panelists for this panel discussion. And I now request Mr. Sanjay Mahajan to please, I hand over this virtual dais and mic to you. Please moderate this session, sir. Thank you so much.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sanjay Mahajan, and I am representing my company, Satin Credit Care, as a part of their leadership team and Chief Information Officer for the Satin Group of companies. Firstly, I would like to thank ELETS Technomedia and Banking and Finance Post and their team for organizing this second edition of Security Summit and providing me and all of us an opportunity to talk about very, very important subject, which is information security, and very relevant in this time when we all are working from homes and all that. So risk is larger. At the same time, I'm extremely delighted and privileged to be amongst the distinguished, panelists, my co-panelists, which is, we have a great experience around CIOs, CISOs, and CROs. And I'm sure with our collective experience in this room, we will be able to add value for our, people who are going to listen to this later on. Thank you very much, and I welcome all of you in this panel. Friends, I've been given the opportunity to moderate this panel discussion, and we have almost 1 hour of time, which we will try to adhere to that. And as you all know, the theme of our discussion is basically how organizations are step changing their information security strategies against all emerging security threats, which are popping up on day-to-day basis and due to rapid disruptions, as well as fast-changing innovative technologies. So it's happening, the way we are thinking we have protected our organization, all of a sudden the next day you will see something new. So we have to be on our toes in this subject. And with this, I would like to introduce and welcome my co-panelists, Mr. Manoj Nayak, who is a CISO from SBI Life Insurance, Mr. Alok Pathak, who is Chief Risk Officer, Utkarsh Small Finance Bank, Mr. Palani Kumar Arumugam, Chief Information Security Officer, Veritas Finance. So guys, let's open the discussion by quickly introducing ourselves first. And at the same time, I would also like to have your views on why information security focus is so critical and important for our organizations. So let me start with Alok first. Alok, maybe you want to start and I'll come last here. Alok, you are on mute.
Thanks, Sanjay, for giving this opportunity for discussion. Myself, Alok Pathak, I am handling risk at Utkarsh Small Finance Bank. So I joined Utkarsh when we got the in-principle license when we were a microfinance company. And after that, we have done all the setup for the bank. So I got that good opportunity. And while creating bank, so we came to know that what kind of things are required. And there actually, even that time, we were discussing more on the security side for the simple reason, because the moment you are converting from a asset-based company to a liability-based company, so your responsibility goes up very high. So because you start collecting customers' money. So focus was very much there on the information security part. So from there onwards, and still even after 4 or 5 years, still I can't say that we have reached to the very, very, very high level of security and other things. But definitely it shows the organization intent that how focus is there. and we have learned a lot of things actually. So from RBI and from other places also. That definitely I would like to share during the course of discussion. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank you
I
so
think
much,
Manoj.
Alok. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Sanjay. Thank you, Alok. So myself, Manoj Naik, I'm Chief Information Security Officer of SBI Life Insurance. So I have worked in the IT and information security field since last 23-24 years. And information security has been a focused area. In fact, all banking and financial service organizations, and also by nature we are a regulated industry, and the focus is much more on the financial services industry. So apart from that, also being a life insurance company, we handle lots of customers informations, and also we collect the informations and we store the information and process the information
Manoj,
for
we are losing you in
a
between.
longer period, years like that. So there is a challenge, to those customers' informations, and those information also, yeah, sensitive informations like health information, financial informations, all kind of things. But that's why it is really a focus area for the organization. Thank you, sir.
Okay, great. Great, Manoj. So you have hit the nail. I think customer information is the most critical part. Customer and personal information both are very, very critical for any company to, protect it. So I'll move on to Mr. Plani Kumar. So if you can quickly introduce yourself.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you, Alok and Manoj. I am Paril Kumar. I am a CISO of Veritas Finance Private Limited. Since we are doing business on MSME segment, since we are a finance company, we are handling more data of the customers. So their personal and their PA data, everything we are handling. So our management thought it's a more important to secure the data. So we introduce the department, and now we are making under it. So past I have an experience of 20 years of experience in information technology and IS. So past 5 years I am working as in information security. So previously I was working in Equitas Small Finance Bank. After that I moved here. So now first 3.5 years I am working here. So that's the thing. So based on that our discussion, we will share more things. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Plani Kumar. So let me also quickly introduce myself. So as I shared, my name is Sanjay Mahajan, and I currently represent Satin Credit Care. I'm here from last 5 years. By profession, I'm an IT professional who has spent 30 years in the industry and have been part of almost many major digital transformation across the world. I'm a sector agnostic guy who has worked 10 years with the manufacturing industry, 10 years with very world largest FMCGs like Gillette and P&G at a very, very strategic roles. And then 6 years with retail, and retail was also big. I was, director for Indian subcontinent for Yum Brands, as well as the global IT director for Bata, managing 80 countries for them. And now in the last 5 years, a financial sector also added into my kitty, and it has been really, really enriching experience. This is just a little brief about myself, and I have been a part of a pretty mega transformation here. From a business perspective as well as from an information security perspective. For us at Satin, any organization information, whether in form of customer, personal, regulators, or other, is a critical asset, and building a sensitive culture around that is not a choice; it is a mandate. So that's the kind of a culture which we have put in our organization. And what we have done is we have classified our information into different buckets. So every data is classified into either a public, private, or a confidential information. And sooner it is created, that information is categorized into this, and based on whosoever has to have what access, those are only given that much of a legitimate access to that information. I'll share more about this, why we did this. I'll come into more details in the next questions. So this is a little brief about myself. Okay, guys, thank you very much for the quick introduction. Let us first move with our the question number one. We all know, compliance is very, very critical for our business, for each and every business where we are working. And compliance is a key for every organization, and it is always in the highest priority of any CISO or a CRO or a CIO, correct? And so my question to you, how can the organization be future ready against emerging security threats and not just concentrate on complying to the regulatory compliances? So this time, let's start with Palani Kumar and then move to Manoj and move to Alokji.
Thank you, Sanjay. More about talking about the compliance. So it's standards based on the events happened in the past. So based on that, they are making the rules and regulations and all the things. But if future ready means every day we are having a security event. Every day we are facing some threats in that in the world. So regulatory can't never change their regulations daily and day-to-day basis. They have some standards, they are moving that, they are giving that, we are following that. If we follow only the regulations, it won't be a foolproof security things. So we will lose the things because every day, every seconds, things are getting changed. So we need to key on more things on beyond the regulations and all the things. So we need to follow the markets, follow the world, what is happening in the world. Based on that, we have to strengthen our security systems and everything, then go ahead with that. That's the thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Manojji?
Yeah, so if we talk about the regulation, one is the legal compliance. So if you look at the information technology law, which was, came in 2000, and there is a major amendment in the year 2008, and also subsequently government of India published the information technology rules in the year 2010 and 11, and I'll quote a specific clause which is called section 43A, which bind all the corporate entities and corporate organizations to take care of the customers' data, and also it is focused on the sensitive personal information. They also define what is sensitive personal information, and they have instructed that all the companies has to follow a reasonable security practices in the section 43A, and in the subsequently in the IT rules they have also defined what is the reasonable security practices. In fact, they have written that reasonable security practices like ISO 27001. So if you look at the ISO 27001, that means all organizations, all registered organizations in India has to comply with the reasonable security practices like ISO 27001. So ISO 27001 is given to all of us as a reference point. So if you look at ISO 27001, 114 controls, those are the basics, like Mr. Palani Kumar has also told. Those are a reference point for all of us to define our policies, to define our procedures in line with a well-known global standard ISO 27001. So apart from that, also we have the regulatory guidelines, like for insurance sector, IRDA has come up with guidelines. For NBFCs and banks, RBI has come up with the guidelines. So the guidelines are static in nature. So considering the today's dynamic risk environment, the guidelines is considered as a reference point or as a minimum standard which the organizations need to follow. However, complying with the minimum standard, then we need to think what else we need to follow or what else we need to adhere or we need to practice in our day-to-day operations so that we can protect our crown jewels, we can protect our information systems of the organizations. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely, Manojji. I think ISO 27001 2013 gives us that kind of a direction, and based on that, you actually define what you can do, what you cannot do, and what is the level of checks you want to put in based on what is followable, what is not followable.
Right.
Absolutely. I'll share my journey around that as well. Yeah. So moving on to Alokji, please.
Yeah, sure. So I agree with Mr. Manoj and Palani both. But just to add something like what was my observation, especially on the cyber security and information security front, the kind of circulars and after that circulars, the kind of advisories and ongoing basis, the seaside, the way it is working. So I think that is remarkable. And if organizations can follow the guidelines and advisories in true sense, because that is very important in true sense, because in general language, we say there is something called paper compliance, that some guidelines came and we just said yes or no, and we have completed the compliance. But if we really take all those items in creating our policies, procedures, and we adopt that in true sense instead of like satisfying to the regulator, we take this as a starting point and as a control measure. So I think these guidelines itself are quite exhaustive. And many banks, even as I can tell with my experience with discussion with my colleagues, still nobody is 100% compliant, even with the RBI guidelines, what they what they have defined. And advisories, along with circular advisories, are very useful. And even many times they do a lot of drills also with the banks, and they are asking banks to come and participate voluntarily. So all those things, if we can see, so intention is very good from the regulator side. And so my sense is like, even if we follow the RBI guidelines, advisory circulars, along with obviously the latest development, whatever is required, so that itself will take organization with the required level of compliance also, and the security also. So unlike the other risk, what I have seen, especially on the credit risk part, market risk part, and other guidelines, so many things generally RBI just leave on the organization, that okay, this is the overall structure, and under this structure you can create your own policies, procedure, and based on your own risk appetite, based on your own overall type of business volume. So they give a lot of leeway. Here actually they have made the guidelines very clear, crystal clear, I will say. The kind of data what they are asking, that also says everything. So I'm really very much convinced from the RBI point of view, and I will not say that only compliance. So it should be more than compliance actually.
Absolutely, and I cannot agree more on this with three of you. So let me also share from my company perspective. I just want to give you a little brief about what this company does, so that you can understand what could be regulatory compliance and why extra security is needed. So Satin as a group, we are one of the largest NBFC. It's a microfinance business, and Satin also has multiple subsidiary businesses. We have a banking correspondence as a business arm. We also have Satin Housing Finance Limited. We started around 1.5 to 2 years back on that. We are also into Satin FinServ Limited. So that is third subsidiary we have. As a group, we have close to almost 7,600 crores, AUM, out of which 6,744 belongs to Satin. TFSL have around 639 crores. TFSL is Trashna Financial Services, which is banking correspondence. Our housing business is around 164 crore AUM, and Satin FinServ, which is MSME business, is around 120 crore business. So all put together around 7,667 crores. We operate from 23 states in India. We have almost 3.2 million customers. and 1,255 branches across India. So, and since microfinance business is into the rural area, you can understand the security is, more critical, because, when you're sitting into a more, say, Delhi, Bangalore, Gurgaon, connectivity issues and all that will be much better. But as compared to the rural area where you are also operating in tier 5, tier 6 villages. So having said that, as an NBFC MFI, we were also governed by RBI master guideline, which we all know that have 7 different domains around IT governance, IT policies, information and cyber security, IT operation, IS audit, BCP, and outsourcing. So what we did is, initially, we did a mega transformation in this business. We around 4 years back, we used to have our customer acquisition to loan disbursement cycles was taking around 15 to 20 days because it is rural area. So we did some tech upgrade, we built it internally. We had our own IT development center, and we turned around that whole story to convert customer acquisition to loan disbursement cycle in less than 1 day. Technologically speaking, in 3 minutes, from 18 to 20 days kind of a cycle, when you convert it into 3 minutes, it has really given a boost to the business. Now, RBI master guideline we have been obeying from the day one, but we took a challenge of upgrading it to ISO 27001:2013 certification. So I completely agree with Manoj ji when he was explaining, and you all know who has done ISO 27001:2013. It has a very large scale, and you can pick and choose what aspects of security you need to inbuild based on your kind of a business. And in our space, in NBFC MFI space, we are one of the first ones who have gone ISO 27001:2013 certified. Otherwise, banks have that. Not every bank have that, but so we have taken that, and I fully believe it is very, very important because our customer information is lying in branches. Our branches are not that sophisticated branches. Rural area branches, you can understand how it would be. So what kind of controls we have to build in? So we have also taken that plunge around 3 years back. So we got a certification 3 years back, and every year that audit happens. Our ISO 27001:2013 certification is valid for 3 years. And the next audit is due in next couple of months. So this is where we are. I completely agree that we should not just stick to the regulatory compliance. We should move ahead with our vision in terms of security, because threats are coming every day and day out. Yeah. And now, so with this, let me just move on to my next question. In the recent couple of years, there are many disruptive trends are picking up the pace, like BYOD, cloud computing, and we are all, using it in our organization. Some are using, some are not using. BYOD, cloud computing, organization, social networking footprint, like your Facebook page, your LinkedIn page, your Twitter page. How should the CIO prioritize and include this in their core IT strategy? Because, if something goes wrong through them, it is going to hurt your branding. So I want to have your views. Maybe, Manoj, you want to take a lead here, and followed by Alok and Mr. Plani Kumar.
Yeah, thank you, Sanjay. So the disruptive technologies is really a challenge for all the organizations. However, having said that, we have to adopt the emerging technologies to enable our business in a technology platforms, and to provide the better service and time-bound service to the customers. So, so technology adoption is a must. But while adopting a technology, either take BYOD or cloud or any other technology like robotic process automation or the artificial intelligence, I feel we must do a risk assessment kind of thing. So, like if you take example of robotic process automation, like if you want to automate some of the processes which we are currently doing manually, and we wanted a bot to do it for us. So what are the things that we are sharing with the bot? So if I take a simple example, like in a manual process, and if a person is doing operations, he has access to the multiple systems with him using his user ID and password. So there is a enforcement for change of password to each of the systems. So when we enable this access to the systems through a bot, whether it is built into the bot's feature for changing the password in a periodic basis. So those kind of things we need to identify while designing the technology, and also another challenge. So most of the IT experts and visionaries has been telling that cloud is the future, and if you look growing, and the companies, more and more companies wanted to go into cloud, because the IT can be enabled in a very less time, and new technologies can be provided to the internal customers of the company as well as to the outside customers. Yeah, it is a very good thing, but also the cloud comes with lots of risks. So if we do a proper risk analysis, and we also find out the mitigation measures based on the data and based on the systems that we are putting into the cloud, or we are exposing to the cloud, and do the mitigation measures, then it would be found, it would be fine. And then those mitigation measures or the control points need to be monitored on a continuous basis. So these are the 3-4 steps which we need to do, like you need to do a IT risk identification assessment, you need to mitigate the risks, you need to implement those controls and continue to monitor those controls. So these 4-5 steps you need to keep in mind while adopting the new technologies, and while enabling our business into the new technologies.
Absolutely, absolutely. Alok,
Yeah, sure. If we talk about the use of technology, so like Sanjay already what you have covered, that how you have reduced the number of days for the disbursement. There is very logical, means the kind of volume what today banks are handling, or MFIs or NBFCs are handling, it is phenomenal high if you compare just 5 years back or 10 years back. So today what volume we are handling, whether it is in terms of the remittances, transactions, NEFT, RTGS. So, okay, Demon was one of the event where after that a lot of digital transactions have gone up. Otherwise, also there are a lot of new businesses what coming up that also require definitely latest technology. So nobody can avoid that if you want to be in the race of business. And more than business, it is actually we always see as a customer convenience also. So you have to give customer best possible service. So otherwise, customer will always say that why I should come to this particular organization when other fellow is able to give me a very quick service and accurate service, and you are taking a lot of time. So no organization can actually take that kind of risk of not implementing these tools. Risk is always there. So we are in the business of risk. So we all are sitting, whether it's a Veritas or SBI Life or Satin-Credit. Everybody is taking risk, then only we are making business. So risk is in our business. But there are some certain very simple rules what Manoj has already covered. Actually, there are very simple rules are required. So if proper rules are there, that how I'm onboarding a technology in our existing platform. So there are very set rules what everybody follows. So if we can also follow those structured rules, then I don't think that there is any. See, we can only minimize the risk, but we can very well say that it can mitigate maximum amount of risk if we follow the simple processes when I'm onboarding anything very simple. So I just want to take one example of like BYOD. So because many people keep on discussing about this. So today we are asking our employees that, okay, 10 to 5 is your overall normal banking hours. But we always expect that even in late night or maybe early morning, that he should able to respond, or he should able to see the mails, or he should able to do some kind of urgent work. And obviously after this work from home, when everybody is adopting, so again this becomes very, very important. So now again, it was a big challenge earlier. So now there are a lot of technologies available where actually you can very well give a confidence to our own staff that okay, you can use your own mobile or your own laptop also in certain cases with all the security features enabled, and at the same time you can keep your private information private only. So that kind of structures are very much available. So definitely, as a good security person in the bank, we have to encourage these things, that okay, use of technology with these kind of rules and with these kind of data segregation, that how we can minimize this data mixing also, data security also. So that way only we can reach to the desired level. And nobody can avoid automation or new technology. It has to be there for the customer convenience more than business. So I am keeping business aside. So I am talking more from the customer convenience point of view.
Absolutely. Mr. Palani Kumar?
Thank you. I think almost Mr. Manoj and Alok has covered all the things. In our organization, earlier we won't allow the BYOD, all the things. We provide 100% our own devices to the employees, and we will have control all the things. Due to this pandemic and all the lockdown issues, we are keen to, we have forced to allow the things, and we have work from home. To enable the work from home, we allowed the people to use their BYOD. So for that, we have implemented the security systems, so the DLP and everything. So endpoint the securities and everything we did, implemented, and we advise the employees. So since we are a retail finance company, so we won't have any communicate to the customers, don't have any access to the customers. So we advise our employees to keep minimum security level or minimum patches updated in their systems, so that this basic needs. So based on that, system can only allow to connect our networks. So based on that strategy, we went to do the people's to allow the peoples to work from home. So our systems, everything, our devices are having encryption, DLP, and endpoint device security. Everything are already installed, and we are having everything. So those are cloud security, cloud computing, coming to the cloud computing and the social media and all the things. So as of now, we are having this departments, everything. We have the marketing department to manage the social media and everything. We only given some instruction to them not to give more details about us to the social media. Keep some things are protected and manage the security practices. Use the practices, and based on that you work on that, and we share the details. So we need to protect the detail of our software company and all the things. So based on that, the security systems only our systems are running. Our people are obeying luckily they are obeying the systems. So we are secure. Almost we are secure. I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. I think three of you have already covered everything which I wanted to share as well. So as you rightly said, we cannot live without, when the disruption is going to come, we have to come up with some security solutions. So we also have put in those GFI LAN guards for automatically patching for those devices which are working from home, so that there is no threat to the network. In addition to that, if people are coming to a company network, it has to be through a VPN networks. Right, it has to be through a proper virtual private network, so that when they are accessing the company information, it is completely protected. And we have also implemented in our organization data loss prevention, DLP, where whatever people are doing sitting at home, you can even know what kind of a productive efficiency they are doing in their machines, how much time is dependent upon Facebook, how much time is, are they really using company application, or they are looking at Amazon or something. You can, there are so many tools available to do that. So Palani, I was also talking about, we have done DLP where, DLP checks each and everything, and you can protect if a person sitting at home try to do a customer information to someone else, you can always pick up whether it is from a personal email or a company email. So we have done all those things here. Since I said that we have our own IT development center, we have our own technology, we are also ensuring whatever integrations we are doing in the ecosystem and everything, we do a VAPT, vulnerability assessment, penetration testing, twice a year, so that if we see there is some kind of a threat to any, we overcome that. So rather than someone hacking you or something, so we do that upfront as a part of ISO as well. So these are my 2 cents here. Looking at the interest of the time as well, because clock is ticking. So let me just move on to the third question. With this rapid expansion, though, in the last question we have covered something, there is a rapid expansion happening around internet, mobile and banking, financial solutions in our ecosystem. In this, we are from a financial community, financial services community. So we are dependent upon many integration to run our business. It is not that we just run our application, and we have to be dependent upon those ecosystems. So what exactly you guys are doing in your areas to protect those integrations? Because customer data is also coming, financial information is also going. So what exactly, any new thoughts on that? What exactly to make sure that how are we guarding against those emerging cyber threats to these integrations? Yeah. So maybe Plani Kumar, you take first, followed by Manojji and Alok.
Okay.
Yeah.
So only innovation and new technology, implementing the new technologies are unavoidable. So when we are going for a new technology or new systems and everything, we have that the testing environment and the development environment. We are doing all the things, all the testings and everything in that environment. And based on that, we do all the testers and cyber security, system security testing and data leakage testing and everything, VAPT, including VAPT patching, everything we are doing, and we are doing all the live testing environment itself. And then only if we are satisfied with the security, then only we are integrating to the production environment. Then we are moving to the production. Again, we are doing the same security practices in the production environment itself. And based on that, every day we have the monitoring systems. So every time we have our monitoring staffs are there. Every event they are monitoring, and they are getting, after new systems are introduced, they are monitoring the systems, how the system is behaving. So what are the access are giving, or the events are triggering to the systems, how the system server performance, how the network performance, and any abnormal events are triggered. So based on that, everything we are checking on the system. So based on that feedback from our team, then only we are releasing to the production, releasing to the users to use that. So based on that only, like that only we are securing our production environment from the new technology innovations. Thank you.
Mr. Manoj?
Yeah. So in fact, Alokji has explained during the first question. So, apart from these regulatory guidelines, we have been receiving lots of suggestions or guidelines from the various authorities. So I'll take an example of SOTIN, which is the Computer Emergency Response Team of India, and they also they publish their advisories in their website, and also they share those advisories through RBI or IRDA to the different entities. And if you look at those advisories, they are really in tune with the current threat levels. So like after work from home, they have released many advisories. So how the VPN structure should be there. So considering that many people would be accessing the organization network from the internet, what should be the remote access facility? So if the organizations are using VPN, how the VPN should be configured, and what are the patching practices that the organization should follow. And if you look at it, there is a tremendous increasing in the phishing attacks over what was there before March and then after March 2020. So in fact, I have read some reports. There is a increase of around 400% of phishing attacks. And if you look at the phishing attack, it's considered as a effective attack in the current scenario. So when the COVID situation was started, the phishings were for the based on the phishing COVID tracking. So at that point of time, because the attackers also they study the people's mind. So at that point of time, if we go back and if we remember, everybody used to follow the COVID tracker. So how many COVID positives has been detected in different states or in the different metro cities or in the different localities. So everybody used to look at the tracker. So many attackers come with the COVID tracker, and many domains also has been registered with different companies as a to launch the phishing attacks. So even like if you look at the Batch ransomware attack, which has affected some very big companies. So these are the some of the examples. So in order to protect these internet-based threats, and just phishing is just one of the example, ransomware is another example. What we need to do, in fact, so we cannot avoid exposing our systems to the internet, because anyway we have to provide better and time-bound service to the customers. So we have to expose the systems, but the systems need to be in a secure manner. So if you are exposing, like Mr. Palani Kumar has also told that we need to implement the controls, and those controls need to be tested through the vulnerability assessment and penetration testings. And also, if you look at various technologies has been come also and has been tested and proven, technologies like mobile device management. So if you implement mobile device management solutions, then it create a container in the mobile devices, in our own mobile devices, and it creates a container for the organizations, which is much more secure. So we can put our organization applications, emails into the container. So it is very difficult for any external party to bypass the container and attack those applications. So this is one of the very effective security solutions which has been implemented by many organizations to protect the mobile-based applications and the applications as well as the data. So that if any user in fact downloads some data, the data will be inside the container only. And so you cannot do a copy paste from the container to outside of the container. So that is the advantage that technology is also providing to all of us. We need to actually properly manage that technology and properly configure that technology to secure our assets. So that's
Absolutely. 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 Yeah. Mr. Alok?
Yeah, so I think very well explained by Manoj and Palani. Whenever these new systems we are introducing, and especially in today's era, it is happening left and right. So every month we are knowing that that so and so vendor is there. He is very good in doing some kind of analysis or some kind of one scrubbing or some kind of processing. So we have to adopt, so because everything you cannot make it in-house also. So that is the fact. I feel that the overall security structure starts from the vendor assessment itself. So the very first thing what we have to do, we have to see the whereabout about our vendor also. So although technical things we have already covered, but it is always a good practice to see what kind of vendor we have, what kind of in-house capabilities they have, what kind of overall past history what we have seen, how secure is their server, their other things. That is also important. Then obviously this is this our own internal things, VAPT and other integration part. Then whenever we are using a API, so at the time of API integration, what kind of security features are required to be seen, that is required. And then the very important point is that where my data is getting stored. So because every focus is always on the data, that how my data is getting secured. So like when we are discussing about this MDM technology, so if at all my junior staff is using the same kind of application, and he has to give a lot of information to the customer, this may be very sensitive information also, he can download in the his mobile, he can take the screenshot. So again, there are MDM technologies are available which can actually stop all these things. That okay, he can see all the things, but he cannot take even a screenshot also. So today that kind of technology is available, and it is very simple technology where actually it will create a exactly box what Mr. Manoj has mentioned. It will create a complete box. So while he will able to do everything on his mobile, but the moment he is entering to this particular application or this particular as a whole what we have given to him, it will create a complete one firewall. Out of that he will not able to do anything. So it is like it's a two character, like people like us, when we sit at home we are a different person standing in front of our wife very silently, and when we are coming to office we become a totally different person. So similarly in mobile also we are creating that kind of thing only, that okay, for official you are using the same device for two purpose, but the moment you are entering this side you are a different person. You can't do anything. Whatever we have allowed you, you will able to do that only. After that you can very well go to the Amazon side, you can do your shopping, you can watch movies. So because you cannot stop that thing, the moment you start stopping each and everything, he will stop using those. Then the other option is that you give him your own device and everything, and then he has to hold all those multiple devices. So that is practically not possible. So I think already Mr. Manoj has covered that part. Palani has also covered that part. That taking these application is definitely necessary, but again, rules of the games are very simple. Actually, entire information security is really simple, but only thing what is really required is structured approach. So whenever I am doing certain things, so we should have a proper SOP with us. We should have a proper process that okay, one new identification we have done. So we have to do a vendor assessment. We have to do application assessment. We have to understand the requirement, where data is getting stored. Then we do the risk assessment part completely. Then there may be one or two even open issues also. So we may live with that, but we have to do some kind of monitoring. Then obviously alerts through DLP, through other channels, we have to monitor. So this kind of simple cycle is required to be maintained. And definitely our team should be good enough to monitor all these things. Because this is not like once we have taken and after that nothing will happen. There will be a lot of patches will be there. So how patch management is happening, that is again a very important thing. How people are making the changes in the applications, whether those changes are also going through the same kind of rigorous exercise what we have done at the time of onboarding, that is also important. Then again, the role of audit is also equally important. The role of CISO is also equally important. That on a frequently we have to keep on monitoring also these things.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Completely agree. I think the rule of the game is the organized approach, as Alok, Manoj, and Plani Kumar have said, that security is simple, but if you go with the organized approach, you do proper pilots, whatever technology integrations we do, have you done? Think about how do we encrypt your data before it reaches your data center, so that when it reaches encryption, whitelisting of IPs is very, very important. When you do two integrations, whitelisting of source destination IPs, so it cannot, you cannot get into that trap of people hacking into your system and doing something wrong. Very, very critical. Though most of you have already covered what I wanted to say, so I will not repeat the same thing. And at the same time, we are already at 48 minutes in this discussion. So we also have MDM in our organization. We have almost 8,500 tabs where the controls are humongous. As you rightly said, no one can pick up the information. They cannot go to other than what application is telling them to do. Camera will not even open unless application asks that to open a camera. Okay. And not only this, there are MDM solutions available, because people generally do, because you have given a SIM, and SIM, there is a cost, 8,500 users using tabs in the fields, in the rural areas. There's a huge cost of communication as well, right? So if you have given a SIM of 3 GB and people start using that SIM and pull that SIM out and put it into their mobile, because in that they can't do anything. They can use that 3 GB in one day by looking at a movie, right? So even the MDM solutions are giving you that. If you pull out a SIM, you get an alert, right? So those kind of things, MDM solution nowadays is very, very powerful. They will click a photograph of that guy. Maybe photo is not coming clear because camera is not in front of him, and your MDM solution will give you that alert, right? So this is again breach of security or company data or company cost, right? So we have done those kind of stuff in our organization as well. Gentlemen, we have almost 11 minutes left in this call. So let me just club those two questions together, okay? And let's try to finish it in next 10 minutes. We will talk one by one. See, you know, this year, it has been a very, very different kind of a situation, very unprecedented kind of a year. No one thought when it started. You know, COVID has become different kind of it's a pandemic. It has given us a very different thought. Our new way of working model is, and company have started thinking in that direction, let's start working from home, okay? Earlier, we were doing our security, sitting at office. There are multiple technologies available. You can do all those firewalls, checks, kaun sa mobile network, kisko access dena hai, nahi dena hai. You can do all that. But now you are exposed to, say, in my company have 11,000 employees. So if they are all sitting at home, 11,000 people can bring 11 different kind of security threats. So let's talk about what exactly we have done in our areas around that, keeping in mind threats can come from a home network. In addition to that, I think if we can club our answers around that, because information security is very, very critical. And though it is a responsibility of a technology department along with CROs and CISOs to protect company assets, customer data and everything. So the people who are managing that, I think their knowledge about that subject becomes very, very critical. Okay. So what exactly, you know, your organizations are doing in terms of making sure, because security threats are increasing every day, something new comes in. So they also have to be updated on their skills. In addition to this, it is the people who are managing that security, and another stuff is your end user community, your internal customers. So what kind of awareness sessions we do? How do we make sure that they are also alert what can go wrong, right? If they don't understand what security means. So I'm asking these two questions together. So I'll go one by one. Maybe Alok, you go first.
Yeah, sure. So it's really important actually that how we can train our people, especially at the ground level also, because everybody is holding a system and everybody is on our network. So it is irrespective whether he is my junior most CSO or credit officer at the ground, or maybe that people like us who are sitting at the head office. So responsibility is equal, because the moment you open a gate, so it is always give you opportunity that some kind of vulnerability will definitely come into the system. So that is the reason continuous training is important. Along with training, we also need to create some kind of a structure that how even if my staff is committing some mistake also, so how to control that thing. So because it has to go hand in hand. So whatever security structure you create, but there is always, you can do 99.9%. Like generally we say for everything, that whether you apply a Lysol or any kind of disinfectant, it always clear only 99.9% bacteria. Similarly, in our case also, we can have a world-class security picture with us. But again, that 0.01% that chances, that is always vulnerable. And that vulnerability we have to control through continuous training, learning. We have to tell them that what kind of mistakes they are making. So obviously, at least in our organization, we have created a structure where we give ongoing training to them, and we keep on doing a lot of exercise where we send them a lot of mailers, then lucrative mails, offers and other things. And we get the responses from them. So what we have observed that slowly there is very less number of people now they are responding. So they are getting more vigilant actually about that, and people keep on reporting also. So that good development has happened. This thing. So that is very much required actually, and especially after work from home structure. because we are giving a lot of laptops to many people. So where earlier percentage was very less, now percentage is quite big, you can say, because we are now ready to work from home anytime wherever it is required. We can just put a trigger and our BCP trigger we can start, and people can, wherever they are, they can start working even on our CBS also. So those kind of structure we have created. So obviously when I'm talking about that giving access from home to even our core banking system also in case of very high exigency time. So definitely we need a world-class kind of security structure also. So that is the reason we have taken control, like along with giving the control, we also hard-coded the devices also. So one is my network is already secured, so it is secured by all kind of things. And the other things now we have said that only whitelisted hardware only can be used for these kind of network. So likewise, we have taken a lot of new initiatives. Even VPN also same thing we have done. So VPN, it is not the open VPN. It is always again connected to hardware only, and again with the two-factor control. So these are the few new things what we have started. But of course, training is utmost thing, and it has to be on an ongoing basis and a continuous basis.
Yeah. I think we have to learn these methods and quickly get onto this, and people have started using this. Yeah. Manoj, maybe you have 2 minutes and 2 minutes, Mr. Palani Kumar.
Yeah. So if you look at it, for any process or in fact the InfoSec process, so the people process technology they tried is the most important thing. And during these challenging times of pandemic and enhanced remote working and work from home environment, the people is the crucial link. So it may be the weakest link and it may be the important link. So the people at the end users, one scenario, and the second is the people who are the managing the technologies. So who are the system administrators, database administrators, they have the privileged access to all those systems. So those are the important links, and they need to be trained on a continuous basis, as Alok has said. So in fact, what there is a cyber security month which was going on in the month of September, and there is a 30th November was observed as a World Computer Security Day. So around these events, in fact, we have observed a computer security month over a period of 1 month, and there was a top-down approach for anything. So our top management has been coming and sending the email messages to all the employees on the security practices. And also, not only we have also conducted the training sessions for our employees, also we have conducted the training sessions for our outsourced vendors also. So we have called the representative of the vendors, we have conducted the online sessions, which are also much more important, like Alok has also pointed. So it is not only the internal environment, we also need to look at the vendors, like lots of business processes are outsourced to them. So in the information security only, it is not sufficient that we need to look at only one angle, we need to look at all the angles, then accordingly we need to take the control measures. So that's what we know we all of us should do, and we have been doing. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Manoj. Very useful. Yeah. Mr. Palani Kumar.
Thank you, Sanjay. Answer to the first question. To enable the work from home, so we are providing this, as Alok already told that VPN, we are providing VPN. So we have provided the critical users with the laptops. We have provided our own laptops to the critical users to enable the BCP also. If anything and any unexpected happens, means they have to work from anywhere in the world. So that like process we have strategy. So we enable the systems. So we provide the VPN. It's the same like Alok told. It's a MFA, multi-factor authentication VPN. If anything happened, the alert will come to us, to the security department. So based on that, we will help the user to be security. Second thing, based on this, to enable the security, full security, we give training, awareness training to the periodic awareness test training to the users. So to train the users, we will run every year. We are running a week, security week. So So we will give articles, we will give sending the everything is digitalized. So we will most of our 1,200 employees are having tabs. We are providing there in field, so they are using tablets and everything. So it is company-owned tablets. So it is controlled by, as like Sanjay told, MDM. It's controlled by MDM, and all the controls are available now. So we will send a article and we will send a quiz. So we let the employee has to answer for that. So we are providing prizes to them. So everything we are making them to get them involved to the security. So learn the security and practice the security. So let them then they have to help the company by the knowledge and all the things. Based on that, we are encouraging the people and providing the security to the company. So now everyone is safe. Every frequently security awareness program we are doing, and based on that only we are secure on the systems.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. So let me quickly share my experience as well. So, as I said, we have a field staff as well, and our branches are in very rural areas. So, every branch have a laptop. There are 5 or 6 people. They use one branch manager uses a laptop, and 6 or 7 CSOs, community service officers, use tabs. So, tab is completely secure, as I explained it earlier. Laptop, what we have given earlier is Ubuntu base. Okay. So, if it is not a Windows base or something, we took a call. We took a conscious business call. Not many people go into that call because, once you go to Microsoft, then you have to pay a lot of cost. Your Windows, MS Office, blah, 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 blah. We did proper pilot. As everyone said that, you have to put plan, governance, do it in the right way, do a pilot and see if it is successful. So giving, Ubuntu laptops and maintenance of Ubuntu, because you have to upskill that skill in our people as well. Ubuntu is not that common, right? Though people uses it, but not, and that too in a remote area. So we did that from that security perspective, and our corporate users all have a laptops. They were working from home. We have DLP. So, DLP captures each and everything. VPNs were already in place. So that thing didn't bother us too much while working from home. However, I personally feel the people who are into security, they should always be registered to all those links which are critical, where those information hacking, sites. So I have ensured that my security team are linked to those Twitter, where the discussions are happening regularly. So before that bank has been hacked, so they know in the night something has happened. And what has happened, they will get into this before something happens. You're always alert. In addition to this, this is for our internal teams. We get their trainings done so that they are updated on the security stuff. In addition to this, for our employees, while we onboard our employees, we have a security manual. Okay. They have to go through that. They have to say, they have to understand. We do that training session at the time of onboarding, and every 6 months we, rehearse with them. One very unique thing which we have done, because we have one security partner, ISO 27000, through which we have done ISO certification. We created a mock phishing attack drills periodically in our organization. Mock phishing matlab, we created one web page through which a mail has come to them saying to the employees, hey, why don't you log in and your mail space will be increased by 5 GB. Now imagine, and that is not coming from outside. We have created that, and you get a response on that. Once you get a response, we do analyze and show it to them while we do train. Boss, this is what you are doing. I have your user ID and password with me, because if you have to do your user ID and password, which looks like your webmail account, right? We have created, but in that webmail account, the spellings, we consciously did something wrong, and they have not understood that. So while giving them that practical example in the organization, right, वो लोगों को बहुत जल्दी समझ आता है. वो समझ आता है because they get attached to it. So we did that, and this is happening. And security, no one can say that I'm fully secure. You have to be always alert, whether you are ISO 27001 certified or something, right? I'm sure we all agree to that. So I think this has been pretty enriching session. Thank you very much for sharing your views. I think mostly I have seen people are doing similar things, and which is very, very important in the kind of industry we are staying. And really, thank you very much for this session. I know we are 4 minutes ahead but I think very useful. I'm sure the community which is going to see this, they will be, they'll get some insight out of this. So once again, thank you very much. Please stay safe and take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alok.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay.
Thank you, Alok. Thank you, Manoj. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Manoj.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sanjay Mahajan, Chief Information Officer, Satin Credit Care Network Limited, for moderating this session very well. I also thank our panelists, Mr. Manoj Nayak from SBI Life Insurance, Mr. Alok Pathak from Utkarsh Small Finance Bank, and Mr. Palani Kumar Arumugam from Veritas Finance for sharing their views and opinion in this panel discussion. Thank you so much. With this, we will now formally close this panel discussion here. And as I said, this is the last, of course, not the least panel discussion. And once again, I'd like to invite Ms. Dr. Ravi Gupta, who is CEO at Elite Sector Media Private Limited and Editor-in-Chief at the Banking and Finance Post magazine, for the closing remark. Over to you, Dr. Ravi Gupta. Thank you.
Namaskar. I hope you all enjoyed this event, the BFSI Security Summit. This was our second edition of the summit. And we would like to thank all our eminent speakers and eminent delegates who have participated in this very, very interesting summit. And summary of this summit and summary of all the sessions, each of the sessions and each of the speakers is being posted on our social media. So I request each of you to please follow us, follow Elites and Banking and Finance Post on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. And you can see the summary of each of the sessions and see the pictures of the whole day here. And we are thankful to our sponsors, Dell Technologies and Video Info Solutions, for supporting this event as sponsors. And we thank Tata Teleservices for being an exhibitor at this event. We would also like to inform you all that we are going to organize the 5th annual BFSI Leadership Summit online on 28th of January 2021. So I invite you all to join our next event, which will be held virtually. And this will be a very, very exciting event. And I request you to log in on our website, bfsi.elitesonline.com, to watch our next event updates and also see daily news and updates on BFSI sector and BFSI innovations which are happening in India and abroad. With this, thank you so much again for joining us. Namaskar.
विश्व में हमने युवाओं की आईटी एनर्जी के माध्यम से अपना एक रुतबा खड़ा किया है और भारत इसके बात के लिए गर्व कर सकता है। दुनिया में हम आंख में आंख मिला करके बात कर सकते हैं। और ये मेरा साफ मैं हमेशा कहता आया हूं, IT plus IT is equal to IT. Information technology plus Indian talent is equal to Indian power.